Hey guys, it's Mckenley. This is more of a serious video for me, not like any video I've done before really. Obviously this has been a long time coming for this video. It's the most searched thing for me on YouTube, and I'm finally making a video about it. For those of you who are watching my video for the first time, or just don't know much about me, I live in LA, California, and I moved here when I was 16 from Virginia, in a small town, kind of redneck actually. And I'm a Christian. I've always been in a Christian family. My family has always been pretty strict. Until I was a teenager, they were very strict about things we watched and all that stuff. And there's always been something that has been making me different from the rest of my family and most people that I knew. And now I finally felt comfortable, even though I'm really nervous and this is hard for me to film. As it is, it's the most comfortable I felt. I've always wanted to be real with you guys and be myself. And a lot of you guys are probably like, huh, sis, we've been new. And then I had to do something with the fact that lately I've been trying to be more myself and not have to worry about talking a certain way or acting a certain way or doing certain mannerisms, and just being more myself and not focusing on all the comments and being worried about people asking me about my sexuality and stuff. But now I'm done with being anxious about it, so yeah. I like guys. I feel like growing up, when I was really young, I was raised differently than probably most boys. I was just me and my older sister Emily, and we've always been really close, and I would play with the same toys as her and stuff like that, and that's just kind of like how I grew up for a little bit. And whether or not that had anything to do with this, I'm not sure. There's always something kind of like in the back of my mind until I was probably 11 or 12. I started to maybe like understand what it was, that I wasn't like most boys, I guess. And once I figured out kind of what it might be, I got really scared and I went into denial completely. And even up until my freshman year of high school, I was just in denial about it because I never really had feelings for anyone before that wasn't a girl, so I just like was like, oh well, it's fine, like it's not really a problem. And I just figured, oh well, if I ever do like a guy, I guess, then I'll just, you know, throw that over my shoulder and act like it's not a real thing and just like only date girls and only make a move if I like a girl and just ignore it if I like a guy, which obviously isn't how things work because of the fact that I've had to deal with a very Christian, homophobic family, mostly. I've heard a lot of people saying things like, oh, but like once it's family, you know, they like don't care, they love you anyway. And it's not that my parents don't love me, but I've always known that they wouldn't be accepting it at all, and I think there's something that kind of helped prepare me for that, and that's the fact that my only uncle is gay. He's on my mom's side, and my mom and him were really close. He didn't come out until I think his 20s, I'm not exactly sure. But my mom was really supportive at first, and I know it was a really rough time, and she was really supportive and there for him. And since I've been like aware of what's going on, I guess, it's not been like that. They're definitely not close anymore. He is now married, and I know a lot of hurtful things my mom's kind of said and done to him since she, like, I guess changed her mind on how she felt about it. And he did have a wedding, and he asked her over dinner to make, because he knew it was like a sensitive topic for her, if she would go, and she didn't go, she wouldn't go to his wedding. So it's just kind of like preparing me to know that I'm gonna have to go through the same thing, and that if I married a guy, my mom wouldn't go to that wedding and I wouldn't have that support at all. And that kind of scared me for a while, and that's definitely been something that's been hard because I was, oh my god, I'm not, literally, like I knew I was gonna like get emotional during this, but I knew I wasn't. Like I was like, I'm not going to, but I probably will, but I won't. Anyways, I was always like, always growing up, I always was pretty close to my parents. I feel like my mom always gave me a hard time saying I was like gonna have problems, be the problem child, and say things like, oh, like I know, like I worry about you, and like stuff like that. And I never knew what she meant by that. And this is also when I was in denial. I didn't think my mom would be saying that. Now I'm pretty sure this is what she was talking about. But when I lived them, I tried so hard. I don't know if they're gonna watch this. They follow my stuff, but they never watch my videos, so I don't know. I know they'd be like too scared to even watch this, but I always tried so hard to be a good child for them and be like perfect, like not go through like my teenage phase and all that stuff, and I never really fought with them. But it just hurts because now I'm not very close to them. I don't feel like I have a very great relationship with them anymore. Anyways, moving on, I'm gonna move on to something else. About the time when I started to realize it more was when I was going to high school. I was homeschooled all the way up into it because, again, I was just really sheltered. I had done a lot of musical theater before high school, so I have like been exposed to, I guess, like other like gay people, even though it's a Christian theater, so it was definitely a very like covered up thing there. But going into high school, I was still in denial about it. I did not want to be thought of as the gay kid. I didn't want anyone asking me if I was gay. There's not that many gay people in Virginia, in a redneck town, so all of the gay people immediately like, you know, message me, and I would just kind of rudely like dismiss it and be like, no, I'm not gay. Like, I would not have wanted anything to do with it because I didn't want to be like around them at all, because I didn't want to like categorize myself with that. I was too scared of that happening. And eventually I liked this girl a lot, and she played me the whole year. She would tell me she liked me, but she would date these like really bad guys, and I just didn't get what was going on. But she would also tell me like, oh, people are saying that I'm like, when we would hang out, people would say, oh, you're dating the gay kid or whatever. And it was just kind of like really upsetting for me. I was still doing musical theater outside of school too, and there people hated on it too because most people were Christian. So I would try to change myself in as many ways as I could, and every time I would get, not like a comment, but like a comment about my sexuality in any way, I would like start like, you know, getting like really mad at myself and like count the times and like punish myself for like, you know, talking too high, and I would talk really as low as I could. And eventually sophomore year, one of the guys from freshman year actually I talked to a little bit on Snapchat. I actually decided to apologize to like people I was rude to, and so I kept talking to this one guy that I said it to, and I ended up kind of like letting him in on it a little bit. I like played the whole like I'm curious, like experimenting card. One day he started telling my friends, then it got back around to me, and I freaked out. And I like stopped replying to his Snapchat and broke his streak, and that's like it. I didn't say anything. I was just too like, I was so hurt and I was upset that he would tell someone when I told him not to. It made me completely lose trust in telling anyone. I didn't feel like I could tell anyone, because no one keeps it to themselves. No one like had ever let it be like my thing. Like any other guy that I ever let it in on, like somehow like he had told people, and I was so focused on pushing it under. Even though guys would already like, you know, call me a fag in the hallways and like that, it was hard for me to make guy friends because of that. And like the few guy friends I had that were like straight, I like meant a lot to me, that they like didn't care. Then halfway through sophomore year, I met this guy who was very interested in me, and I was like, oh, I'm straight, but like we can be friends, I guess. And I'm not gonna tell this full story because it's a lot and I want to do a different video about it. But that's was my first time I actually had feelings for a guy, and I would start with saying like, oh, you know, I'm like acting curious and not actually saying I had feelings for him. And eventually, you know, he was the first person I ever had told that I liked him, and we became really close and we were like best friends and we liked each other. But eventually it was a mess. It was off and on, and it was a mental roller coaster, and somehow my parents kind of assumed that we had a thing, and that was about the worst thing that could happen. You know, in my mind it was a nightmare. I denied it, I freaked out. I had to start going to counseling, to this Christian counselor to talk about it, and I just denied it to him, I denied it to my parents, and it was just, I couldn't do it. I denied it to my sister. I never told anyone, I never come out to anyone except for him, and then like various guys I'd like flirted with and be like, oh, I'm straight, I was just curious, you know. So during all this mess, me going to counseling, denying it, I was a wreck. I couldn't talk to my family. My sister lived in LA. I was so upset all the time, and this is still like just like the worst like time period of my life, I guess. My sister called me one day and was like, you want to move to LA, like you can move to LA, you should just do it or whatever. And she told my parents, and I guess I confronted them about it, and they were like, what? But they were like kind of chill about it. And about 3 weeks later I moved, and I didn't have to deal with it because of that. They originally wanted me to still have to FaceTime the counselor, but I didn't end up having to do that. My mom would call Emily and it would be on speaker, and I'd be like in the room or in another room, and she would just start mentioning me and saying bad things about gay people and bad things about me, and just like, it would really upset me all the time, and she would always talk about it. And it was like, almost felt like a hobby for her, like drama. Like she would just want to talk about it all the time with my sister, and it just felt so weird to me. Like, if you really are concerned with me, why is it such a like huge why does it seem like such like a conversation piece? Like, oh, our gay problematic son. But other than this hearing about it, I didn't have to really deal with it. Eventually I had a vacation, like a conference with my mom's work that we went to in Indiana, and it was our whole family, and I texted one of my best friends from preschool that I recently like reconnected with, I guess. I told her, I just sent her this long paragraph, and I came out to her, and she was really, really nice about it, and that's how I came out to my first friend. And since then I've slowly started telling like my friends in LA and like a couple more people in Virginia, but that was a lot of the fact that a little bit later that same guy, my boyfriend from Virginia, decided to out me to, I guess, all of his friends and like our mutual friends. And so then that's how most of my friends there found out. That was one of the worst nights of my life. I'll be telling that story in another video. I actually did come out myself for a lot of my friends here, which is good for me since a lot of these situations I didn't get to do it myself. So I was back in LA, I'd gotten over the dude, and my parents decided to confront me about it once and for all, and I was just prepared, and Emily was prepared to tell them what not to say. To me that would be like really offensive or really hurtful, and they just elevate being gay is a huge sin, and it's not even in the 10 Commandments, but they just act like it's worse than most. I think that's just because it hits close to home for my mom because of her brother. My dad doesn't really say as much. But yeah, so I was prepared for it. They confronted me. I knew there was not going to be any way I could keep denying it. So I gave them the most surface level guilty coming out, and they really didn't say much. They just kind of told me like, where do you see yourself like in the future, like are you gonna be married to a girl or boy? I was like, a girl, hopefully, if that's what you want to hear. Like, what are you asking me? Like just like weird questions like that I couldn't really answer, and just basically telling me not to act on it, and that, you know, people come out of it and it's not like it can be a phase, and that's just a sexual, like it's a temptation or a sexual attraction, not like a real gay isn't like a real thing and stuff like that. And I just kind of like went with it. I knew I had to just get over with it, and that's my story kind of. I'm going to be telling more detail, like my actual coming out story in another video with the dude from Virginia, just like what happened, because that's a whole entire story time and mess. So much happier now. I am so happy to be in LA, and I still love my family. I love my sister, who I live with, and she's been nothing but supportive to me. And I'm also so glad I get to say I'm in a lot happier place now than I was for all those kind of dark years of my life. And if anyone else is going through something similar, just know that it's okay to be different. It's okay to be you. If you have friends that are homophobic or parents that are homophobic, I will say that talking to someone can help so much. Coming out to at least one person, because I had no one to talk to. I just had to deal with everything myself. I couldn't express how I felt to anyone else, and I felt so alone. I don't want anyone else to feel alone, so I want to advise you to come out to someone really close to you who's not homophobic. Try to make sure it's like a best friend or someone really close to you, and not just someone that you're interested in, because it's really easy to get screwed over because there's a lot of different kind of feelings that are involved that can end up leaving either one of you or both of you very hurt in the end. Trust me from my experience. And if you don't have anyone, feel free to DM me on Instagram. I try to check my DMs sometimes. I don't get to answer all of them, but I will try to help anyone who I can. Thank you guys so much for watching. I love you all so much. Thank you everyone who is still supporting me after this. I hope this doesn't change anything, because I'm still the same person. There's just something different, I guess. Same but different. Thanks guys for watching. I love you. Bye.